Iran's Navy commander declared Antarctica as the regime's property, asserting plans for a military operation on the South Pole. In a televised broadcast last fall, the announcement underscored Iran's intention to assert its presence by raising its flag and engaging in both military and scientific endeavors in the region. Iranian Navy Commander Rear Admiral Shahram Irani stated in late September, "We have property rights in the South Pole. We have a plan to raise our flag there and carry out military and scientific work." This declaration has raised concerns, particularly in light of recent actions by Iranian-backed militias, which led to the death of 3 U.S. soldiers in Jordan. Questions have arisen regarding whether the unfreezing of $6 billion in Iranian funds by the U.S. could potentially be utilized for establishing a base in Antarctica. A spokesperson from the U.S. State Department clarified that the released funds are strictly designated for humanitarian purposes and cannot be used for activities in Antarctica. Despite escalating tensions globally, including the recent Iran-backed Hamas incident in southern Israel, the Biden administration proceeded with the $6 billion sanctions relief. Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi contested the restrictions on fund usage, asserting the regime's authority to allocate the funds as necessary. The prospect of Iran's military expansion into Antarctica raises concerns regarding potential violations of multilateral conventions. Yonah Jeremy Bob, a military and intelligence analyst, underscored the risks associated with Iran's aggressive maneuvers, urging the U.S. and its allies to adopt a more serious approach toward the nuclear threat. While Iran's naval ambitions extend beyond the Middle East, with previous reports suggesting plans for a military presence at the Panama Canal, the international community remains watchful. Experts point out that the complexities of asserting interests in Antarctica raise questions about the acknowledgement of such endeavors under existing treaties. Jennifer Dyer, a retired commander of U.S. Naval Intelligence, said, "It's an arcane topic, but little lies between Iran's coast outside the Persian Gulf and the Eastern Hemisphere side of Antarctica. In theory, Iran could claim an interest in Antarctica similar to India's, Australia's, New Zealand's, or Chile's with their island outposts in the Southern Hemisphere. I can say that raising the flag at the South Pole doesn't carry any implications in international law. The Antarctic Treaty has a specific provision that no action by any nation after 1961 can be the basis of a territorial claim on the continent. Iran isn't a signatory to the treaty and might try to do frisky things in Antarctica. Those things wouldn't be recognized by other nations, at least as matters stand now. The US, UK, Germany, France, Japan, India, China, and Russia are all signatories to the treaty, as are Brazil and Argentina, Chile, Australia, and New Zealand, the jumping-off nations closest to the continent. In 2023, Iran's navy was set to station warships for the first time in the Panama Canal, a critical trade route in America's backyard that has never seen an Iranian military presence. Rear Admiral Shahram Irani, the commander of Iran's navy, said that his forces will establish a presence in the Panama Canal, marking the first time Iran's military has entered the Pacific Ocean. Iran in recent years has placed a greater focus on moving its military into Latin American territories as it strengthens relations with anti-American dictators in the region, most notably in Venezuela. Iranian vessels have docked more frequently in Venezuela as Tehran's hardline regime seeks to prop up dictator Nicolas Maduro. These moves are meant to provoke the United States and signal that Tehran can station its military apparatus a stone's throw from U.S. territory. The Panama Canal connects the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. It is located about 2,500 miles away from the United States' southernmost border. Iran's plans for the Panama Canal come days after the third anniversary of the assignation of the prominent Iranian general Qasem Soleimani, who was killed in a targeted drone strike by the U.S. in 2020. Iranian Rear Admiral Irani said, "The Navy presence in the Panama Canal is meant to strengthen our maritime presence in international waters. Today we can say that there is no scientific barrier to grow in that field." He added that the Iranian naval forces are sailing in the Pacific Ocean for the first time. It is likely Iran sees its presence in Latin America as a means to bolster and protect its interests in countries like Venezuela, where Iran has been helping Maduro repair his country's dilapidated oil refineries. The two rogue regimes signed a 20-year cooperation plan in June 2022, when hardline Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi was in the country for meetings with Maduro. Latin American dictatorships have also served as a hub for Iran to evade U.S. sanctions and make arms deals. Hezbollah, the Iranian-controlled terror group, also has a presence in Latin America that has been gaining ground for years. Hezbollah militants are known to travel freely in Venezuela and across the relatively lawless tri-border area that includes Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina. While the Biden administration continues to appease the Iranian regime, called by the U.S. Department of State the world's worst state sponsor of terrorism, the Iranian mullahs are creating their power on the doorstep of the U.S. The Iranian regime's takeover of Latin America, the creation of terror cells, the access to Latin American passports, the rise of Iranian-trained imams and militants in Latin America, the increasing recruitment of radicals is a potential existential threat to the United States. Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said, "As I have said before, our people punched America in the face, in the full sense of the word. Our nation defeated them. In the new order that I am talking about, America will no longer have any important role. It will be isolated." Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi expressed similar sentiments in an interview with China's CGTN broadcaster, saying that cooperation between Iran, Russia, and China will help create a new power to oppose the unipolar world order. In September 2022, during a meeting with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in Samarkand, President Raisi said, "The Americans think whichever country they impose sanctions on, it will be stopped. Their perception is a wrong one." Iranian Americans opposed to the clerical regime in Tehran have viewed the Biden administration as weak and ready to make deals with Tehran. Before his election in 2020, Biden announced that he would seek to restore the 2015 nuclear deal, known as JCPOA, that his predecessor had abandoned. It remains unclear what Iran's policy will be at the moment. It is also possible that provocative rhetoric could be used to confuse the target. However, it is a fact that Iran wants to increase its power outside its own region, especially against Israel's presence in the region and the growing power of the U.S. in the Middle East. The Tehran administration has started to increase its measures.